Welcome to Tibet USA, Mark.
Thank you. Welcome.
This is season 2, 6th episode, or 7th episode. Am I correct?
That's what I've got.
Holy moly!
And we're still at it.
I salute the dedication.
I think the salute goes to our audience for hanging with us thus far.
Beautiful.
This is fun, though.
This is fun. We are our own boss.
Well, you're the boss of me. That's what listeners should know. Nothing happens unless Phuntsok wants it to happen. So he's the president. I'm the vice president.
So that's the thing about this Tibet podcast is there's no president.
We were going to call it USA Tibet, but we arm wrestled and I lost, so it's Tibet USA. He goes first. That's okay.
What's in the name, right?
That's what's in the name. Yeah.
How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. 2 nights ago, I slept very poorly. 2 nights ago. So Friday, or rather Thursday night to Friday night, I did not sleep well. The temperature was weird in my room, and my sleeping shirt wasn't right, and my sheets were goofy, and I just didn't sleep. Last night, I slept like a baby. Wonderfully.
How's your cat?
My cat? Henry.
Yeah.
Dr. Henry Jones Jr.
You okay?
He's great.
Really?
We trimmed his nails this morning before coming here to the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. He's one of the best beings on the planet, Henry, my cat. I love him. He's just so sweet and playful and mellow. I'm a cat person. I like dogs and all animals. I really love animals. But I like a vibe with cats.
How old is he?
Henry, he's got to be about 5. Yeah. I'll tell him you asked. Tell him you said hi.
So the language is not needed between Henry and me.
It's already there.
Yeah.
He knows all.
He felt the vibration here. We communicated already, so language is a poor translation of...
Should we put a picture of him on our on one of our sites so listeners can see what Henry looks like?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Instagram, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a interesting week this week.
Talk to me.
Yeah. The reason we couldn't do a podcast last Saturday because I was in, I told you I went to Wisconsin Madison. There's this place called Deer Park Buddhist Monastery. So I did a retreat over there for 2.5 days or so. It's a retreat, fasting retreat, observe silence, and a lot of other abstinence, what they call it. You can't do this, you can't do that. There are a lot of rules, but mostly sitting there in meditation. A lot of chanting of mantras, visualization. Visualize one of the bodhisattvas, enlightened beings. They call it Chenrezig. It's interesting. So that image, that portrait, that statue is there. So there is a prayer to do, and there is a mantras to chant, and there is a history on that how there's this lineage they will explain about that bodhisattva, that Chenrezig, that enlightened being, and they said the lineage they kept it alive, orally transmitted and all transmitted. So they're proud. They're proud not in a general common term proud, but they are very. Is it a proud? But they are very proud that they kept this alive, and they kept it alive in Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetans. You were saying something. So they were. I'm glad and I'm grateful that I have received that teachings from those masters in Deer Park Buddhist Monastery, and I have received the empowerment or initiations and all these. It was great. Sitting in silence without eating, without drinking water, and complete silence and no electronics, no phones, right? And sitting still, sitting down with crossed leg.
On the floor.
On the floor. Wow. It was a complete reset of, the systems that and the body, that the whole being, my whole being is so conditioned. I at some point there was one point I was looking for phone. There's one point I'm just saying, oh, okay, what I'm doing here. And then, oh yeah, it's just the thoughts.
Thinking about home, thinking about responsibilities and
thoughts, craving for comfort. I'm conditioned to, these comfy chairs and all of that, right? Good food, all kinds of foods coming up in my mind. Oh yeah, it was beautiful.
Did you miss me?
So the whole point of the retreat is not to miss anybody.
Yes.
But at the same time, I have to think of not just me. I'm doing this for the whole sentient beings, for the others, to dedicate this practice for them.
What do you mean?
So when there's this segment where one of the session is particularly about compassion meditation. So it's beautiful. So when you do the compassion meditation, you have to put yourself in others' shoe. You have to connect with them. You have to send compassion to them. When you think of something grateful and you feel grateful for that person, grateful for your mother, grateful for your whosoever, right? Then you don't do that often with your enemies or those who don't like you, and those who you are. Right? So you just releasing all of that in that moment, and just releasing that, and then sending a compassion to them that they too have their untold stories, what they're going through. So we all are human, and we go through this.
That's great. So your compassion, this compassion-centered meditation, do you focus on people in your life that are harder for you to love, or is it everyone? Like, do you focus on loving your enemy, or sending compassionate thoughts to people that are in your life that are, not easy to get along with, or is it all people?
All people.
All people.
All people. So it's all mostly about it's fasting, silence, prostrations, mantra recitations, deep meditation on compassion. So.
Must be heaven to have 2 days of Phuntsok not talking. That's what I think. It wouldn't be good for our podcast, though. We'll do that next time, huh? Just a nice silence retreat for one podcast, just 30 minutes of just nothing.
On a serious note, the fasting retreat, they call it Nyung Nay in Tibetan. It's very popular.
Say that again.
It's called Nyung Nay.
Nyung Nay.
Nyung Nay.
Nyung Nay.
Nyung Nay. Nay means be still, be there, right? Give you a background of how it started.
Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
I have a great aunt who just passed away a couple years ago. She was in her late 90s. And her name was Nuni.
Oh.
Nuni, Nunie. And it was short for, must have been Eunice, which is an Old Testament or a New Testament Bible name. My family's going to kill me if I'm wrong. I think it was Eunice was her given name, but Nuni, we all call her Nuni. She was Nuni from when she was a little girl. So that reminds me of that. And she was in service to God. She was like a missionary in the Congo in the 1950s, the French Congo, when it was still called the French Congo in Africa. But anyway,
Nyung Nay.
Nyung Nay.
It's a test of your sincerity, test of your devotion, and test of your capacity to turn suffering into compassion. So
Cool.
if you pass the test, not by force, but by humility, you glimpse what's possible when the self softens. They say bodhisattva heart awakens in you. So it's interesting. In this particular retreat that I've attended, I've been doing this for many years. In this, a lot of devotions needed. So if I give you a background history of this Nyung Nay, if I may, it's very interesting. Let me give it a try to see whether it's interesting or not.
You've got the floor.
So how it started is the story goes that a long time ago in the land of India, there was this princess born into a life of comfort and luxury. This is a real story.
Yeah.
And surrounded by wealth, privilege, and soft, pleasures of palace life, right? And she seemed to have everything, the world could offer. Sorry. And yet in her heart, she saw something more. She saw the sufferings of beings, right? The aging, the sick, the dying. The last time we talked about the suffering. And felt an unshakable longing to understand the truth beyond the appearances. So that longing led her to turn away from her royal life and take a full vow of a bhikshuni. Bhikshuni is the fully ordained nun. They call it Ani, Gelongma, Gelong. So they named her Gelongma. Ma is a female. Gelong is the ordained monk or ordained nun. Does that make sense? So her name is Gelongma Pelmo. Gelongma Pelmo, right? Noble ordained woman. I don't know whether it's a disrespectful to call a woman. I should say nun, right? Nun is.
Unless it's a feminine term that specially means a female.
So I'm talking about the retreat, how this Buddhist Nyung Nay retreat started. So after her ordination, this Gelongma Pelmo contracted a terrible illness. They said it's leprosy. And her body grew weak and disfigured and it smells bad and it's terrible, right? So in a world where appearance and health were prized and valued, she was cast out, feared and abandoned. Look at this now, the transition. And yet she did not turn bitter. She turned inward and she entered a solitary retreat, devoting herself completely to the practice of that Buddha of compassion, Chenrezig. I told you that they call it infinite compassion or something. There's a lot of Buddhas. So one of them is called Buddha of compassion. Different Buddhas there. So in Buddhism, she devoted herself. Go ahead.
That's another question for a further podcast. Is the multiple Buddhas.
And then all these multiple Buddhas has their own mantras. Particular mantras for particular Buddha, right? I think we touched on that one time. So let me go back. And she recited that mantra, and it's Om Mani Padme Hum is the mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum is the mantra. So there's this prostration we do in Buddhist practice. It just
a prostration for our listeners is a position that's usually on the floor when you're face down, maybe on your knees, and you're facing downward, kind of. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And with each prostration, each prayer, she literally poured out her heart
That's beautiful.
Not only for herself, but for all beings who suffer and who are exiled, who are abandoned, and who feel alone. So it was during this time that this powerful method of purification from within and awakening was revealed through her devotion, right? So the Nyung Nay Retreat, this sacred, it could be 2 days retreat or 4 days retreat, day of practice, is fasting, observing silence, complete silence, and prostrations and mantra recitations, and deep meditation on compassion. So if you feel that today I'm a little better energy, that means I'm more compassionate to you. I always have compassion to you, but I'm more now because from the retreat.
I need your compassion.
Through this practice.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Here. Yeah.
You couldn't take that?
That's good. That's true.
So through this practice, Gelongma Pelmo not only healed her illness, but also awakened a profound, realization of emptiness and love. So that became the legacy, and that became the tradition. So this is how. So when her body, when Gelongma Pelmo, emerged from her retreat, transformed her body, restored her heart, overflowing with love, compassion, bodhicitta they call it, right?
That's great.
So she dedicated the rest of her life to teaching the Nyung Nay practice, and which continues to this day across monasteries and dharma centers, especially during these auspicious times in they call it Sakadawa, this month in Buddhism.
Okay.
Is the most sacred month of this lunar calendar.
Oh.
It's called Sakadawa because the vibration or the impact of whatever good thing, whatever you do, it's multiplied million times more than normal month or normal day, because they believe in that, because that's called Sakadawa. I know you have n number of questions popping up in your head.
So kind of, can we call it June, or is it not equated
May,
at all?
June, June
that?
of the solar calendar. You're right. That's very good thing. Huh. So this story reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the light of the Dharma can shine through. So that suffering, when embraced with faith and wisdom, becomes the ground of liberation. That's called it. So.
And I would say embraced with hope and wisdom, and also love for others.
Yeah.
She did it by not focusing on herself. Like her own situation prompted her to do something, but that something was a study of everything. It was very outward at the same time as being very inward. That's cool.
Beautiful.
If I'm understanding it.
Yeah, you connect.
So are you saying this is the monk?
Nun. Female.
Nun, yeah.
Lady, yeah.
Okay, so the female, is it, can a monk not be male or female?
I've understood.
A monstrous?
So whatever you want to call it. So
is she the namesake of the retreat center that you went to this last weekend? Is she the bodhisattva?
She's
of this Deer Creek.
The Deer Park Buddhist monastery is the center Buddhist monastery, and they will do n number of practices there, Buddhist practices. One of the practices they did last week. This is the month of Sakadawa, and they did the Nyung Nay, and that Nyung Nay, I was just trying to give you the history behind this Nyung Nay. So the important reflection is this closing reflection. What I'm trying to say is, when the world turns away, you turn inward. That's the takeaway. That when the body falls apart, let the mind awakens, kind of. When all is lost, remember compassion. That's the part of Gelongma Pelmo. And may the story, her story, inspire us to meet our own suffering with courage.
Thank you for that teaching. That's nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Powerful.
I would like to invite you and come with me. And there are a lot of Westerners there.
I'm there.
I think there are equal number of Westerners, Americans. I know I'm a Tibetan Americans too, but Inji we call it, the so blonde hair. So they were
hold on, like white dudes with ponytails. Is that what we're talking about?
So they were reading English, and then right after they finished their reading the text in English at their Deer Park monastery, the Tibetans will read the Tibetan text. It's beautiful, and I shout out to those monks at the Deer Park monastery, those who supported that and made that retreat possible. From my sincere, heartfelt gratitude.
Nice.
Forever be grateful for all the support, unwavering support, and making this happen, and their kindness. Did I say that clear? Shout out to them.
Yep.
Deer Park Buddhist Monastery in Wisconsin, Madison. They listen to this podcast.
Hey,
so
shout out.
my friend co-host Mark will be there one day, and please.
I will sooner than later.
And then I'll ask them to have arrangements for you to stay a night or two.
Cushion with espresso on the side and my BMW waiting out back. A parking spot for my BMW. No, I don't.
So on a serious note, through this medium, I wanted to introduce you to them because they are very kind to me, and you don't have to be a Buddhist to be there. Just be there and meditate. It's pure science. Just offering you this, and they are very kind to me. So
thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm just soaking it in over here. I love it.
So did you get the selfish smart that Dalai Lama humorously, jokingly adds that every now and then? He will say, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
Yeah.
And he will say he says be wisely selfish, not foolishly selfish.
Yeah.
He says foolishly selfish thinks only of oneself and ends up lonely and unhappy, right? But if you are wisely selfish, you take care of others, and that is the best way to take care of yourself.
Yeah. That goes a long way in my world as well. At home is a good example. You take care of your kids, your pets, your spouse, even your home, your physical home, and it will return that to you. They will return that to you. The beings will return that to you. Because we respond to kindness as individuals. We respond to love, usually with love. So, yeah.
Well said.
That Dalai Lama fella, he knows what he's talking about.
Whenever I think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I can't help but I feel tears well up in my eyes. So he has done so much for the Tibetan people, and guiding us with wisdom, compassion, and unwavering resilience, right? So even towards those who tried to silence him in 1959, those who forced him into exile, I'm getting emotional. So he holds no hatred. Instead, he offers compassion, even to those who once wished him harm. And, that kind of heart, it humbles me, teaches me what real strength looks like. I don't want to have tears here, so it's okay.
Yeah, we don't have a box of Kleenex in here. And listeners, you do not want to see Phuntsok cry. It is a mess. I'll tell you. It's really a mess.
Thank you for the...
Yeah, just keeping it real here. We're rocking the look. We decided a couple episodes ago in Tibet USA, we rock the look and we keep it real. And also, real men, we cry real big tears. I've cried here. It's a mess. you don't want to see it again.
Both did. It's
Beautiful.
It's interesting. I was in Wisconsin, Madison, listening to Buddhist masters, Buddhist monks, talking to in Tibetan and reading Tibetan text and listening to the teachings in Tibetan, right? And then I have to switch to doing this podcast in English with Mark. And then I enjoy songs in Nepali, watch movies in Indian language, right? Sometimes it feels like switching out my brain like a SD card.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that, Mark, I think you should learn Tibetan. So that...
Well, if you know someone who speaks it, they could teach me. Give me a word. What's the first word I should learn in Tibetan?
Tashidele.
Tashidele.
Greetings, auspicious greetings.
Tashidele.
If you meet any Tibetan, and you will say, with hands like this.
For the listeners, he's putting his hands together,
and then
putting them in front of his mouth.
And then bow down a little bit.
Bow down a little bit.
Bow down a little bit. And then say, Tashi Dele.
Dele.
My greetings to you.
Tashi Dele.
Tashi Dele.
Okay.
Beautiful greeting.
I'm going to remember that. Tashi Dele. Listeners,
Dele.
repeat that with me. Tashi
Dele.
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 Tashi
Dele.
Dele.
It's same as saying Namaste.
Namaste.
You know, in India they will say Namaste. I think if I'm wrong, I apologize, but meaning is that I bow down to the
Yeah, Namaste is the light in me recognizes the light in you, or the good in me recognizes the good in you.
bow
Isn't
down
that
to
namaste?
to you, the light in you, or
Yeah.
what the divine presence in you. I bow down to that. My divine presence. I want to bow down to the divine presence.
Yeah.
This is a different way of interpreting it, but we got the same thing, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So when are you ready to do practice of fasting and silence?
Anytime.
Retreat? Yeah.
Anytime. I would love to. I used to fast a lot more in my youth and in my 20s and 30s when I couldn't afford to eat. No. No, that's not true. I could afford to eat most of the time, but I enjoyed fasting, and I did into my 30s and 40s, and sometimes I still do now for like 24 hours or... But I would relish the opportunity to remove electronic devices from my world, to remove food from my world, to remove speech and my brain. As my friend Darren Fisher said, the monkey brain, where you have just monkeys jumping around in your brain all the time, trying to take your attention away from your focus.
I'm really
silence the monkey brain.
I really wanted to meet your friend, because over the last many episodes, you brought this name so much that I really want to meet him. You made this.
Darren, get over here. Darren, you over here?
You made this podcast as if you're doing this podcast just for him.
Darren, yeah.
Darren, yeah.
Well, Darren was my first introduction to Tibetan Buddhism. Okay. He's a European American. He's a white dude like me.
So you're doing this podcast. You're missing Darren, and that's why you have Phuntsok sitting across me.
Yes. You're my surrogate Darren.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I missed the Minnesota converted to Tibetan Buddhism in favor of the actual Tibetan Buddhist.
So I thought you liked me, but it's just I'm just the surrogate Darren. Surrogate Darren.
No, Darren is going to be a wonderful guest on our show, and we do plan to have some guests here. So maybe in the next couple of weeks and months we can get that lined up. But he was the first person that introduced me to Tibetan Buddhism. He went to Nepal numerous times on retreats, and we would have very animated conversations about Christianity, about Buddhism, about how they intersect, how they don't intersect. And at that time in my life, I was more fundamentalist in my belief, so there wasn't quite as much room for the gray that I feel like kind of dominates where you can find true faith now. I think you have to hold things in your hands to opposing views oftentimes and find the balance between them, because they're neither are wrong and neither are right. So you have to kind of so our conversations now with Darren, our conversations are nuanced and softened with age and wisdom and love for each other that we always had, but for each other's beliefs, we're much more curious. Anyway.
Thank you, and that shows who you are, and this is the closeness of friendship that you always kept, and that shows who you are. And with due respect to who he is, I had never met him, but I see even though in his absence, I see his presence in Mark's conversation each time when I meet Mark. So that's you, Mark. That's being who you are, and you're being nice. So hunger actually is
that the topic of today?
As a teacher.
Yes.
We talked about fasting.
Yeah.
So when you strip away, fasting strips away the comfort, right? So without food and drink, what happens now? Mind becomes raw and exposed. So your craving arises, not just for food, but for control, for ease, for escape, for attention. Eventually you see that in deep meditation, and you see when you meditate, the mind, and then you will see that you're more than your cravings, and you're not your cravings in that meditation. And then you will realize, and you rise, and you pass, and you dissolve, you transcend. So hunger teaches the humility that makes you say bow down. You say bow down, bow to the body, to the present moment. So you realize how much craving runs the show until you sit with it and see it clearly. So conditioned. We covered in a previous episode, talked a lot about conditioned mind. People think, well, Eric is talking about conditioned mind. Well, what is he talking about? I like to be conditioned. I want more conditioned. But then when the outer world quiets down, the inner world gets loud, and then until it too learns to rest, and then you will see. Right? So on the day of the silent, on the day of Nyung Nay, when you don't speak or gesture or engage in distraction, and then, but as you stay present with devotion and with those mental, what do you call it, storms begin to settle.
The monkeys in your mind.
Yeah.
Jumping around.
So actually, true silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of the stillness. Does it make sense?
Great.
Dalai Lama says, peace is not the absence of violence. Have you heard of that?
Go ahead. What is the second part?
So,
I don't think I've heard of that.
Peace, you have to be within one's own being. Outside, it's not just that. So I was I see. Using the true silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of the stillness. I'm translating that in English, so it didn't carry the whole meaning, but covered a lot on Nyung Nay.
Question for you. I know you talk to different people during your week. You're a busy guy. You work with a lot of people. You end up having conversations with bus drivers for the city bus a lot, I know. And there's a group of people that have been following our podcast that were wondering about doing some episode or some portion of an episode on like a guided meditation and how you do that. Do you want to get into that now? Do you want to develop it for later?
First of all, Mark, since you're very articulate and eloquent, could you please give a shout out and say thank you to them for just
the bus drivers.
Yeah, for not just bus drivers, for those employees at my workplace who took the time to listen to it, and they stopped by my office and my place and say, "Hey, when are you gonna do this?" So just.
I think you just did, buddy. You did the shout out. It's great. We shout out to you, the bus drivers, to the workers who are at MTC, and honestly to all the people who are boots on the ground in Minneapolis and St. Paul. You're doing the work. You're working with human beings every day. You're driving the streets. You're creating a culture of service and humility and good work when you get behind the wheel. And this can go out to any of our listeners who are in the trades and in going to work every day, 9 to 5. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing to listen to our little Tibet USA when there's a billion things you could be doing. There's a billion stations you could listen to, a billion podcasts you could be listening to. So that's the eloquent shout out.
Thank you.
We love you. We think of you. Thank you.
As a gesture.
And I rode the bus for years and years and years and years and years when I didn't have a car, and I appreciated it very much. This was in the 90s and early 2000s.
As a gesture of appreciation for listening to Tibet USA, Mark, I don't know whether we promised we'll do a guided meditation.
I think they asked. So that's all I was saying was, hey, do we want to talk about it? Do we want to plan it for later? It's all good.
Maybe we should do it. Should we do it? Can you be patient? Bear with me.
Yeah. We don't know how it's going to work. Like you said, it's kind of an odd medium to do a guided meditation on, right? This is an audio, audio medium. Mm-hmm. It's sound, and part of meditation is there's no sound. There's nothing happening, like audio wise. So who knows how it'll translate? But should we give it a try?
So being in a state of being fully present, fully consciously aware of the present moment, is the prerequisite in meditation. Did I make it clear? So, despite the distraction and on mental wandering, or this judgment, like what he's doing, what he's doing, what he's doing, what is that? And they have all kinds of judgments, right? This is needed. So not somewhere else, but to be here, to pay attention, being here, not elsewhere, and then this is prerequisite. So what I'm trying to say is, over the podcast, can I bring that attention through the medium of podcast here? It's interesting. Everybody who's listening, they may not be sitting still.
They might be in their car.
They might be
wandering around the house doing laundry, listening on their earbuds.
Yeah. So use it as a tool, and see wherever you can adapt, accommodate, and to. But I'm gonna give a 2-3 tips on what could be helpful.
Perfect.
So number one, what I would say is especially to the transit workers, transit bus operators or drivers, you want to call it, grounded presence on the road, right? That's more relevant. I want to make it relatable, or they can connect to. So if you before you start your shift, before you start pre-shift intention, setting and pause right before you start your shift. This is what I'm saying. Begin by sitting comfortably wherever you are. But if you're driving, it's a whole different case. Or if you're doing... You with me, Mark? Either on your driver's seat or before the shift starts, or in a quiet place nearby. Gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. A slow breath out. And feel the pause. It's important for you to let yourself arrive fully in this moment. Since we are doing this for bus operators, you're not just a bus operator. You are a carrier of life's energy and connection. Set a gentle intention for the day. May I be present. May I be patient. May I serve with care. Take another deep breath. Let the intention settle in. Now bring your attention to your body. Feel the contact of your feet on the floor, the weight of your body on the seat, your hands resting or holding the steering wheel. Gently scan your body from head to toe, forehead soft, jaw relaxed, shoulders down, chest open, belly at ease, back supported. It's important to keep the back straight, legs relaxed. If you find any tension, breathe into it. Gently, release it. Invite, release, right? Now place your attention again on your breath, just notice it. You don't need to change it. Feel the inhale and the exhale. Let that rhythm of your breathing as an anchor, what we call it, steadying you or holding you like the pillar. I'm going to shift to another gratefulness, or I call it silver lining meditation. I learned this from one of the Metro Transit police. He shared with me. We came all the way to my office and shared that. So this is me meditation on gratefulness, right? So bring your mind to one thing, right? Small or big, that you are grateful for today. Perhaps it's a sunrise you saw while driving, right? Or a passenger's smile. Or just a quiet between stops, bus stops. Just the quiet space between the stops. Say silently, thank you. Thank you. Right? Feel the warmth of the gratitude in your chest. Even in the stress or monotony, look for the silver lining. Each stop is a moment of connection. Each bus stop where passengers board or passengers get off the bus is a moment of connection. Each green light is a little grace. Each challenge a chance to respond with presence, right? And then I would say last, I've been using this bus driver metaphor. It's more of a transcendental insight. So imagine this now: you are the driver of the bus, of this great vehicle, moving through the streets of life. Passengers come and go like thoughts and emotions and moments. You don't control who gets on and gets off, but you steer the direction and you carry the space. So let your bus be the symbol of your mind. It moves, it stops, but it's always aware, right? Let distractions pass through like passengers. No need to chase them, no need to hold on. Just drive with awareness, with compassion. Reflect on people you encountered during the day or anticipating to meet. The elderly man with the tired eyes, or mother balancing children and groceries, the frustrated commuter. Each one carries their own unseen story. So silently say, may you be safe, may you find peace, may you be free of suffering. Right? So this is your superpower, not just driving, but holding presence of hundreds of souls in motion, right? So if you felt annoyed or tense in any of, during the day or today, say, I would offer this as, we all are human. I release this moment. I offer compassion. So take a last deep breath. Feel your body again. Grounded. Steady. Open your eyes gently, if they were closed. So carry this awareness into your route, not just as a driver, but as a mindful steward of the road.
What a beautiful experience that was. I followed along. I participated. I found myself being very moved by the prompts. Gratitude was big for me. And I pictured my wife. I pictured my father, who's still living. And I pictured my family. And I was just filled with warmth and gratitude at the opportunity to still be loved by people and to love people.
Although it's a little different, doing a podcast and meditation, I felt a little uneasy because it's just I want to give a message to them, right? But that's not the meditation actually. True meditation is really be in the moment and then in person doing it. That is different experience. Not to discount what I just shared and try to convey.
I think the guided meditation that you just led transit bus operators through can be experienced and appreciated by so many different people. I think of people going on their long commutes in the morning, in the afternoon, home from work, nurses before they start their shift at the hospital, caring for the most vulnerable people in our community, people that work with children in a daycare, in senior living centers. I found it very, very refreshing, very applicable. So from the guy sitting across from you, thank you for that experience. And I know it's not the same. It's not what you experience when you go to a retreat, but this was the first one. We wanted to try it, to honor the people that have wanted to hear something like this and feel what it's like to experience it. So it's kind of a taste. It's a taste. We'll do more. We'll figure out a way to do more. We'll find a way to bring this to more people. And I don't know about you, Phuntsok, I think it's a beautiful place to wrap up the episode. Are you feeling that too, or do you have another avenue in you that you want to walk down and explore?
I think I spoke a lot on this episode. I feel because I was in silent retreat for all this, so everything that I took the opportunity to say,
to let it out.
But thank you for your patience, Mark.
Thank you for bringing your peace and your. I feel like you brought something back with you from your retreat, and I didn't have to hear your phone calls or your texts for like 3 days. It was beautiful. And if you know Phuntsok, you know what I'm talking about.
The feeling is mutual.
Well, I didn't want today's episode to be all feel good, lovey-dovey, peace and love. But shoot, it kind of ended up being that way, so what the heck. We'll get spicy again. Yeah. We will. Thank you, listener. Thank you, Phuntsok, for being here. I appreciate you. I'm getting to know you better.
Thank you.
I like these weekly check-ins. It's good for me. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mark, for everything that you do, and we have a lot of things to do, but we are so dedicated to come here and do this. Mm-hmm. And I, like I said in the beginning, I salute that. Mm-hmm. I just smile when I'm by myself. I smile like, oh, look at this, yeah, beautiful. We don't have to. We can be ourselves here. You know, mm-hmm. There's no script or policies or protocols that have to follow. You and I are.
Well, I'm your boss, but
yeah,
whatever.
Right, yeah. So,
well, I'm going to take the piece of gratitude with me when we hit stop here. I'm going to go on with my day, and I'm going to just carry that in my heart. that's the piece that I'm taking.
Thank you.
So,
All right.
have a great day, Phuntsok.
You as well. Thank you all. Everyone listening to Tibet USA and supporting and subscribing to Tibet USA. I appreciate that a lot.
Ditto. Peace out, people.